Hello, I recently came across this SVG pen, and the first thing that crossed my mind was that an umbrella such as the ones you're seeing here should be doable with a single HTML element and pure CSS. So let's see how we go about doing that. We start with an array where we have the positions and the colors of our umbrellas, and the number of umbrellas is the length of this array. So the number of umbrellas, we read the length. Okay, now having done this, we loop through this array. So for I, starting from 0, going all the way up to the number of umbrellas. Okay. Within this loop, we create our umbrella elements. And by the way, this doesn't work. But if we do it like this, div class, this gives us what we wanted. Let me show you the compiled HTML, which is 5 umbrella elements. Great. Now let's add all of these to the style attribute. So what we have here is a style array, which is empty initially. And then we have another loop. So for property P in the current object, without a space, inside in the current object, okay, we push to this array a property value pair, and we need to interpolate both the property and the value. Okay, having done this, let's look at the compiled HTML once more. Oh, I didn't set it in the style attribute. So in the style attribute, we have this array joined by a semicolon, and now we can look at the compiled HTML and we should see all of that. Okay, now let's move on to the CSS and drop the structure for now. For our umbrella element, actually we'll be using a mixin. So mixin umbrella, this is the number of either white or colorful slices, and this is the radius of our umbrella. Okay, and what we need to do here is include our umbrella mixin, and we're going to have 6, and as for the radius, actually we'll be setting this on the body. So body, set the radius, make it depend on the viewport, and having done this, use that radius right here. And in the mixin, what we set is first off position absolute, then we set a padding which is equal to the radius. So our content box is going to be a 0, 0 box, so everything is given by the padding. And let's set a background. This is going to be current color. Okay, that's good. Now the position set by top and left is the top left corner, but we want that to be right in the middle. So in order to do that, we need to move these by half their dimensions. And half their dimensions means 1 radius up and 1 radius to the left. So that's going to be margin calc -1 times the radius, and I need to interpolate it. It's the one I passed there. Okay, now let's also set the border radius 50%. This is going to be irrelevant later, but for now. Okay, we don't want the background to be a current color. We want it to be a conic gradient, actually a repeating conic gradient. So repeating, and I've used linear initially there because I don't have conic in autocomplete. Okay, so let's see how much a slice is. First off, the total number of slices is twice that number n I passed there, which means that the angle corresponding to one slice is 360 degrees over n. So now that I have this angle, I'll be having current color, so colorful slice, from 0 all the way up to the angle, and then I have white, sharp transition. This can be any value that's at most this angle. So I use 0 because it's simpler and it works for any angle. So yeah. Okay, and I have a repeating conic gradient now, but that should be the current color, which is kind of different, it's not black. So this is because I'm in Firefox here, and Firefox doesn't support conic-gradient natively. A browser that supports conic-gradient natively is going to do this right, is going to have the current color there, not black. But Firefox falls back on the polyfill, which doesn't work with current color, because it's a bit more complicated with current color. Anyway, knowing that, we're going to resort to a little trick. So just take current color out of there, just leave black. Current color is going to be the background color, and here we use background blend mode, screen, and this should solve the problem. Okay, however, in the middle of our umbrellas we have that little darker part. So we do that with a radial gradient on top of everything. So radial gradient, and this is going to go, let's say it's going to be current color, it's going to use a percentage P, then transparent 0, and then we're going to have, what's wrong? Oh yeah, I didn't set this percentage. Let's set it to, I don't know, something small. Okay, now let's repeat this and put it on top. Let's say we have RGBA, black, and 0.35, that should be the alpha, but as you can see it doesn't work, and it doesn't work because of the blend mode. So let's fix that. Let's use normal, and the last one is going to be screen, and this does it. Now something else I can do is add a nice background on the body, so let's use the background, and we'll be using a known image background, which I've already set to that custom property. Let's make the body full height. Okay, and having done this, let's remove the scroll bar with overflow hidden, and let's put the background in the middle and just set cover for background size. Okay, that does it. Now it looks nice, and the next thing that I want to do is cut out those bites from my umbrellas, and those bites are going to be circular arcs that are symmetrical to the arc of this outer circle of the umbrella. They're symmetrical to that with respect to the segment connecting the ends of the slice. So the end here on the circle where white goes to green, and the end here on the circle where green goes to white. So that segment is actually the edge of a regular polygon of m edges and m vertices. M is the total number of slices. Okay, and symmetrical means that the circle taking this bite is going to have the same radius as my umbrella, which is r. Okay, but where is the center of this circle that takes the bite out of there? Well, it's going to be symmetrical to this point in the middle with respect to that same segment. So symmetrical means at the same distance from that segment in the opposite part. But the distance from here to that segment is the in radius of the polygon. So let's compute the in radius. The in radius is the radius times cosine of half this angle. There are a few things wrong here. First off, this radius is a custom property. So that means I need to use calc here. And everything that's SAS thing needs to be interpolated. So that's both the radius and the cosine. But the cosine doesn't work unless I import compass. So import compass. Okay, having done this, yeah, compass has a problem with current color and other things like that, and transparent, and basically this kind of stuff, and also CSS custom properties within the gradient. That's why I'm using a capital letter there, so that SAS just discards it, doesn't recognize it, and it's left to the CSS. That's the whole deal right there. Now we just have a loop here. So for I from 0 up to n, we have the current angle, and that's the angle that the center of the circle that takes the byte is on, and that angle is always the angle of a line that splits a slice into two. So the angles of the ends of the slice are always at I, the loop index, times the base angle. But those in the middle are going to have a difference of plus minus 0.5. So that's going to be minus 0.5. It can be plus, it doesn't matter. Okay, now the point is going to be, first off, relative to the top left corner. So to get here, to make it relative to the central point there, I'll be adding 50%. So that's obviously calc, 50% plus. And then my radius, this is positioned at twice the in radius. So the radius here is going to be twice the in radius, times cosine of the current angle. Okay, now we need to interpolate the in radius, and we need to interpolate the cosine. Okay, having done this, I have sine there for the second dimension, and the next thing that I want is create a gradient list, which is empty initially. Now, this gradient list at every step is its previous version, to which we add a radial gradient. So radial gradient, that's going to be a circle at x and y, okay. Then we have red, and here we interpolate the radius because that's going to be the radius of my circle. Then transparent 0. Okay, having done this, let's set this as the mask. Let's see how that works. So as you can see, we've masked out precisely the wrong thing. So in order to fix this, we add another layer, and this is going to be a linear gradient. Red to red, and it doesn't matter the color, it should be just completely non-transparent. And then mask composite, exclude. Okay, and now I have my nice umbrella shape. Okay, having done this, let's add a shadow. And box shadow doesn't work in this case, because we don't have a square, rectangular, elliptic, anything that's a box without the mask. So we need to use a filter. So filter, drop shadow, 15 pixels, 15 pixels, 1 pixel. Let's make it black. Let's see what we get. Oops! This is not what we wanted. And this is because the filter is applied before the mask. So we have the drop shadow filter of the circular shape, and then we apply the mask, and yeah, this is what we get. Nope. This is not what we wanted. That means we need to use a pseudo element here. So let's just take the filter out of there. Set another position absolute there. Put the filter there. Just take this whole part from here. After, copy paste, content, nothing, and this should do the trick. Okay, I have my nice shadow, and I can do something like RGBA 0.35. Now, doesn't that look nice? Now, let's add a rotation. So, keyframes, rotate to, let's say we have transform, rotate, 1 turn. Okay, having done this, let's add this animation. Rotate 5 seconds, linear, infinite. Okay, let's see how it works. Well, it doesn't really work. As you can see, the animation is very, very, very bad. And on top of it all, if you can see, we have a little artifact there. Now, let's solve both of these problems. The animation issue is because of the filter. So let's comment out the filter. And those artifacts you have there, they can be fixed with a clip path. So clip path, circle, calc, we use the radius, -1 pixel. This is my clip path, and using this means I don't need that border radius anymore. So yeah, this fixes that little artifact. But what do we do about the shadow? Well, we add another pseudo element. So before, and here on my before, I set a few things. So first off, it's going to be the margin, but just and here it's going to be smaller than 1, so it doesn't offset that much. And the background, it's not going to be black, it's going to be an RGBA value. So let's say RGBA. Okay, now having done this, just okay, now this looks great. Now we could add something like an oscillation. So let's say we have something like keyframes, oscillate, transform, to let's say calc, -1/4 of my radius. Okay, having done this, let's add this animation right here. Oscillation, 1 second, easing out, infinite, alternate. Now let's see how the whole thing works. Okay, that's great. I have some oscillating umbrellas, but I don't want to have the same animation duration. So what I'll be doing is just set these that's going to there. Okay, and this is going to be 1 and this is going to be 0. Okay, now let's generate some random stuff. So what I'll be doing here is have my first duration, t0. This is going to be let's say the oscillation is going to be 0.25 plus let's say this to fixed. Let's get rid of unnecessary decimals. Okay, so this is going to be my oscillation duration, and as you can see, some are slower, some are faster in terms of oscillation. So I've done that. Actually, let's see how it works if yeah, it works just fine if I write it like that. So yeah, this is going to be my first duration, and my second duration, just add it here. It's going to be like this, and it's going to be 2.5, and this is going to be, let's say, 5 times that. So those are going to be the rotations, and as you can see, they're different as well. Now let's add something like text, a fun text there. So text loading holiday. This is just a fun little touch to add. Now let's read the length of the text. Okay, that's something weird coming from those pipes. Okay, now having done this, let's take this loop, and we'll be having a heading, and then we're going to have a loop. Not quite. Okay, this is going to be the length of the text. Actually, let's call this number of characters. Okay. Here we have span, and we interpolate we should have a loading holiday. Okay, we have that. Now that we've done this, let's see. Style, sorry. The number of characters. And here I have the current index. Which is the loop index. Oh, okay. There. Okay. So this should do it for now. Let's collapse this. The pseudo elements. We can collapse the body as well. And now let's see about the heading. Font. Let's say it's going to depend on the viewport. Okay. This looks nice. And as for the span, sorry, I'll be having this oscillation, and just use it like that. Actually, let's make it a SAS1, because we don't really need that here. And here, just have, sorry, calc. The current index over the total number of characters times minus twice the animation duration. So let's see how that works out. Oh, I need to set something else, display inline block, because by default they're inline, so otherwise that's not going to work. Oh, and since I've done that with display inline block, I need to set white space, okay, and something else, text align center, so that's going to be in the middle, and let's make this animation duration shorter. Okay, so yeah, this is it. I'm going to just leave it at this. This scales nicely, as you can probably see. And at the moment it's only supported in Firefox because only Firefox supports mask composite, but hopefully things are going to get better in the future. Edge is going to be implementing masking, and it's probably going to implement it with mask composites, so that it's just going to leave WebKit browsers and hopefully they'll catch up. And yeah, so hopefully this is going to be something that can be done cross-browser in a couple of years. That being said, this is what I wanted to show you for today. This is all. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to do more stuff in the future, please consider supporting my work. You can do it with a donation, by getting me something off my Amazon wishlist, by supporting the implementation of cool stuff used here that's not supported cross-browser yet, or at least by sharing this to show the world what can be done with CSS these days, because honestly, I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching.